Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into the story of one of the most famous figures in American history, Sacagawea. Now, many of us grew up with a very specific image of her. Lewis and Clark are lost in the wilderness, and she's like a human GPS, pointing the way across the entire continent. But what if I told you that while she was absolutely essential, her real role was way more complex and, frankly, much more impressive? Let's separate the myth from the reality. So, the popular story makes her the ultimate trail guide. The truth: Sacagawea joined the expedition in the winter of 1804, not as a hired navigator, but alongside her husband, a man named Toussaint Charbonneau, who was hired as an interpreter. Sacagawea, a young Shoshone woman, was the key to making that interpretation work. See, Lewis and Clark didn't just need directions, they needed to survive. That meant trading for food, securing safe passage, and most importantly, getting horses to cross the brutal Rocky Mountains. Without communication, any of those encounters could have turned into a disaster. This is where Sacagawea's true power shines. She wasn't a walking map, she was a diplomatic key. Her ability to help bridge the language gap, especially when they reached Shoshone territory, was a game changer. It was her connection that helped them negotiate for the horses they desperately needed. Without those horses, the expedition likely would have failed. It wasn't about knowing every single trail. It was about knowing how to connect with the people who controlled the land. And there's another crucial element often overlooked: her presence itself. Think about it. A large group of armed men showing up unannounced? That looks like a war party. But a group traveling with a woman and her baby? That sends a completely different signal. It suggests a peaceful, family-oriented mission, not an invasion. This didn't guarantee instant trust, of course, but it could lower the tension in those critical first moments, giving them a chance to talk instead of fight. Her presence was a symbol of peace. Now, was she helpful with geography? Absolutely. She recognized landmarks from her youth and had invaluable knowledge about local plants, food, and conditions. That's survival intelligence, and it saved the expedition more than once. But she wasn't the single person steering the ship. Lewis and Clark relied on maps, tools, and information from many different indigenous people all along their route. So why does the human GPS myth stick around? Because it's a simple, clean story. It's easier to imagine one hero guide than a complex web of diplomacy, dependence, and negotiation. Sacagawea became a powerful symbol. But that symbol often obscures the reality of her contribution. The real takeaway is this: Sacagawea wasn't a magical guide who led the expedition single-handedly. She was a skilled diplomat, a translator, a cultural bridge, and a calming presence whose skills were fundamental to the expedition's survival. She wasn't the navigator of the map. She was the navigator of human relationships, which, in the end, was far more important. And that's a story even more worthy of our admiration. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.